Today's podcast is sponsored by Barrage Coffee. I want to thank Kyle Early and his crew. It's veteran owned and operated for their sponsorship, and can't thank them enough. Today we got on Special Forces operator Claude. Thank you for coming on the podcast. I'm honored to have you on, and also thank you for your 20 years plus service to our country.
Thank you for having me, man. Thank you.
Absolutely. You're a highly accomplished and well-respected U.S. Army Special Forces operator. However, it didn't start here in America. You migrated over from Romania, and a lot of Americans, they don't know that sacrifice. They think they do, but they don't. But you lived in a country where it's not as free as we are. Can you explain what that's like growing up in Romania and migrating over with your family?
Oh, God. Well, different, very, very different than what we know here, man. And I got to tell you, I did not understood that until I left, For over 47 years at the time, Romania was under communism, right? Like the entire Eastern Europe. And it was a total lockdown. And when I'm saying lockdown, was just not, I'm not referring only to the freedom of movement within the country itself or outside, which was, you couldn't go anywhere. But everything was rationalized, the food, the water, even the power that you had. I remember doing homework at candlelight, we had power 3 hours a day. So I grew up knowing only that. There was nothing coming from the outside. There was no TV stations coming from the outside. There was no other world than the one that our immediate environment in that country, And growing up, I thought the whole world was like this, And then later on in life, I was older, older, 15 and a half years old. In December of 1989, the communist bloc collapsed, And then we were allowed to basically go out and see the world as it is. And that was the biggest shock of my life, man. When I went to Yugoslavia, was still Yugoslavia at the time, before Bosnia started and all that. And I remember, brother, walking down the street and seeing the supermarkets, like the food stores, with food on the shelves, and food was everywhere, man. And not only that, there was food outside on the sidewalk, on those shelves, and people were just walking by, just doing their business and not even looking at it, man. And at that time, as a young kid, they came out of Romania where everything was nothing. We used to make those lines, just to get your quarter bread, liter of milk, and so on and so forth, right? When I saw that, man, I will never forget it, man. The thought that popped in my head was either this food is poison or these people are crazy, man. How can you not write? How can you not get it? How can you not see? I couldn't. Then I understood that it was actually a different way of living than what we knew, man, and it changed my life forever. And it also, as you go through life, you mature. You see different things. You come full circle. It allowed me not to judge a person too quickly because you never know where the other man or woman are coming from, man. It gives you perspective. Yeah. So
yeah, that's crazy, man. I there's a lot of people in this country that take what we have for granted, and people like you, me, other people fought for that freedom, but they don't know what really freedom means. And that's why I'm so glad that you come on to express, what it's like to grow up in a third world country. And it is,
It is, man. And it's I had a taste of that, and every one of us, man. You don't have to be a special forces guy. Anybody who ever served in any kind of capacity, any kind of service, man, and has been deployed overseas and has been exposed to something different than your proverbial comfort zone will understand that, man. And that's a lesson that you cannot get from here. And in the same, I'm saying this to you just because I'm trying to be a realist in life, man. I cannot blame someone for not knowing. You understand? Because that's people here. That's all they know, man. they have freedom, and that the whole, it becomes a watered down concept at that point, because you think that that's how things should be, or worse, that's how they are everywhere, and you cannot articulate it to someone who has not seen the other side to the point where they will truly get it until they go through it. And yeah, you're absolutely right, man. People, it's the old saying, you only appreciate something after you lost it, but then it's going to be too late. Uh, it's a blessing to be here, man. And no matter what people believe, even to this day, no matter how good or bad they think this country goes, it's still the shining star on the hill, man. And it's worth fighting for.
I
Not
agree
for us.
100%.
After, that's comes from the bottom of, and it comes from, again, not reading about it, not studying, but living a different life before. And once you get a taste of it, you never want to lose it again, man. And you want to pass it on to those who come after you. Yeah.
Now, when you migrated over with your family, did you know you wanted to become an American soldier, or was it something that just you saw one, or was your family military over there?
Oh, no, brother. I didn't migrate with my family. My family is still back home, or my family, my mother and dad.
Okay.
Sister. I No, I was drafted, man. I was always an outgoing personality, action guy. I used to box before. I used to do a lot of stuff in Romania. I was also drafted into the Romanian army. Back then was still a draft going on. Everybody, with the exception of those who were the heads of the household, right? So you are the only one working, and you're the provider, and you had 3+ kids in the family. That was the only exception from the military service. Otherwise, everybody went, and it was really a jail. Think about your inmates here in the state. You know, was total lockdown and was basically cheap labor for the government. So having went through that, the military was, the army at the very least, was something that I didn't want to go into. But then once I came to the States, and I saw that, again, it's hard to compare Europe to the United States. Are literally absolutely two different environments. Two completely different entities, man. And I saw this, and being an outgoing type of guy, I was like, oh my God, man, this to me was a no-brainer, especially at the very beginning, because you struggle, man, when you come in. You are not totally part of the system yet. You're still working through the process. I was trying to find myself, what can I do, and I joined the army, man, not knowing anything about special forces, nothing. To me, was a total, like, they didn't even existed. To my picture of the military was kind of like, it's like home. And I remember, man, going through the basic training, and then when I start learning, you learn about the units within the military, and I learned about the Rangers, man, and then I learned about the Green Berets, and I was like, oh my God, man. I was thinking to myself at the time, knowing, and then start getting, I would start having an understanding what they do. I was thinking, going through the revolution in '89, was basically a civil war, was televised, was the first one televised in the world, and it was a massacre, man, at the beginning. But I was thinking, man, if I would have had a team, if we as Romanians, right, would have a team of guys like this coming in, the results would have been a lot less bloodier. And I remember seeing the SF patch, man, on a big poster, the army has with all the units.
Mm-hmm.
And I was an E nothing, man. I was an E0, coming through. And I remember telling my brother buddy, man, I was like, dude, someday I will put that patch on my shoulder. And everybody, laughed. My drill sergeant overheard us talking. I did more push-ups than I can remember.
Did you go to Fort Benning?
Yeah. And so I was going through the jump school when September 11 happened.
Oh, wow.
Yes, sir. I was second week of I was in the tower phase.
Mm-hmm.
They stopped everything. I was assigned to the 82nd, you know, from Benning, I was going straight to the 82nd. And, you know, because of that, you know, the whole music stopped. You know, we all watched the TVs and we knew that we were going to war, you know, we were like, it's that daily excitement at the beginning. And I reported to the 82nd, man, to the 92nd replacement. And there were like, I don't know, like hundreds of people there in processing, you know, and everybody got their pinpoint assignment within the brigade. There were two exceptions, me and my bubble buddy. But basic training, the IT, and I did the freaking, you know, jump school and everything. I was so proud to have the beret, man, because my father, after the Second World War, was part of the very first airborne regiment in the Romanian army, you know?
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
man, it was, I see the pictures, man, with him jumping out of, not airplanes, but gliders, you know?
Wow.
Yeah, dude, it was this, and they used to jump with two chutes, kind of like we have the reserve and the main, you know? And it was crazy, man. But he was that kind of guy, you know. He suffered under communism too because of, you know, talk against the government and they just pull your ass out and then that's it. So anyway, I remember towards the end of the day, I went to the desk sergeant. I was like, you know, parade dress and private Oltean, right? I looked at him, I was like, hey, son, I think you guys forgot about us, basically, you know. And he looked at us and was like, well, where are you going, private? I'm coming to the 82nd, Sarge. He looks, brother, he looks at his roster, right? And he was like, no, private, you ain't coming to the 82nd. You've been diverted. And I didn't even know what that meant, dude. I didn't know how to spell diverted. You know, but I got sent to Fort Carson here to 10 Special Forces Group. And my battle buddy got sent to 7 Group. 7 Group at the time was still in Bragg, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, man, I took that like a sign from God, dude. You know, I was like, oh my God. And I show up to the unit. I was a support kid first, and then I went through selection, and then I finished selection, dude. And then in 2003,
How was selection? Was it pretty tough on you?
it was, man. It was. And you know, it's different for everybody. But what's absolutely true, and I didn't understood that until I went back to Bragg to be an instructor, you know, later on in my career. And I've seen those things from the other side, you know, not as you go through it. Selection is something, and the people ask me, you know, and I try to relate that, you know, through my own experiences when I went through, man. People that later on wanted to go and become, you know, SF and all that, and they were asking me, Claude, what? They don't call me Claude, you know, because they're like, whatever rank I had at the time. What is the best thing that I can do, you know, to pass selection? Which was basically the same questions I had, you know. Everybody I think thinks about that, and I always, like, hindsight 2020, you know, looking back
Mm-hmm.
at it, told them, like, look, man, being in a fit physical shape helps, but it's not what's going to pull you through. First, make sure that in your heart of hearts is that is what you want, because, dude, if it's any doubt, you know, in your heart that might not be for you, you're not going to make it, man. It's not about physical strength, brother, although people that plays a huge role, but they will take you to that point. It's designed. That's the whole point of it, you know. To take the sleep, to take the food, to take everything, to destroy you, to bring you to that breaking point, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, the question becomes, can you still push forward? And the only thing that you have left, and it's different, right? For some people reach it before others, but everybody will get to that point, man. And if you can still push forward, then you go on guts, on fumes, on wheat. You know what I mean? And that's all selection does, man. It's making sure that you are from the right cloth, you know. And then from there, throughout the course and everything else throughout your career, they will take you, they will mold you, and they will make you this guy. But it was tough, man. It was tough. I went in a winter class, you know, and brother, yeah. It was anyway, it was cool, man. When you started and you started, I know, I think we had like, God, 400 some dudes, and then just like that. It was a good, good feeling. But there were points, man. Then I was like, dude, I'm freaking dying here, man. I know something happens, man. Your body, yeah, they tell you this, and you kind of like, you take like a catchphrase or something. Your body can take a lot more than you give it credit for. Um, but it's true, man. If you pass through that wall, and what happens, man, is you gain actually strength out of that because you proved it to yourself that you can make it. You understand? And that brings strength. And dude, it's hard to explain. It's kind of like being on a team, and hell is all around you, and no training can duplicate real life, But that something happens then in those moments, and yeah, it was good. It was tough for me. It was, man, because I'm not the tallest guy. I don't have the longest drive and all, none of that. But I was so glad, man. At the end, I can. Wow. Yeah.
I bet it was
I'm being
a
honest,
relief.
man. You know, yeah, it was good. It was one of those experiences that you can. It's like SERE school, You can talk about it. You're never gonna truly get it until you go to it.
Yeah.
So,
That's crazy. Oh, speaking of schools, you went through many schools. Is there any ones that you can talk about, other than, I know you can't
yeah,
really get into SEER school about, I don't know if you can talk about that or not.
no. I mean, it's look, man. I think it's a lot of not meat, but misunderstanding about us out there. Who we are, man, as Green Berets, as SEALs, as whatever, man. That's not a classified thing. That's on open media. Now, what we do on every mission, that is. So talking
Gotcha.
about stuff, yeah, absolutely. You're not going to go into details of particular mission sets or whatever it is that you're doing, but courses themselves, they have classified versions, to them. And then, but the course itself is not classified. I mean, I'm a sniper, right? Well, no, shit. I'm an assault. I'm Halo guy. I went through SEER school. Yes. Um, we can talk general about pretty much everything. And if it goes to details, then we're not going to discuss that. Yeah. So fire away, man. And
Yeah. So how was SEER school? Because I've heard many people talk about how it's just hell, man.
yeah, yeah. So just the full disclosure here. You know, everybody, well, most of us, right, throughout our careers, eventually will end back in Bragg, right, to be an instructor, right? It's part of your career process, right? So my time as an instructor was actually in SEER school.
Oh, wow.
Yes, sir. I was a SEER school instructor. I spent a year up in the resistant academics portion, and then 2 years down in the RTL. So I had the privilege to see it from both sides. Once as a student going through, and then 3 years as an instructor. From the other side, and then is when actually I understood what SERE is. Right? Because when you go through it, it's chaos, and that's the point. Brother, listen, SEER is tough, especially, man, and I'm saying this with the caveat of me not have been born in the States. So my point is, I was not born in this mentality, whatever the mentality is at the time here in the States. I came from a different side of the world where human life is invaluable, to the government. You are nothing but nothing. There is no due process, or there was not back then under communism. And so you are at the bottom of the pool. You lose your life for no reason, man. You speak back against the government, they take you, and you are never heard of again. So understand that, right? So going through SEER, prior of me going through, because people talk about it, they kind of have an idea, they hear what their peers said about it and all that. And I remember it was actually It's funny now, it wasn't funny then. Right before I went in, I was like, oh my God, man, I'm going through SERE. And back then for us, in the entire Q course sequence, right, of training, SERE was the very last gate. It's different now, but back then was the last gate. And then as you have graduated SERE, they slap the tab on you, and then here you go do great things for God and country, So you couldn't wait to get the hell out of there, get it over with, right? But I remember, man, going in, thinking to myself that I'm like, oh my God, this is SERE school. Come on, man. What the hell are they going to do to me? Let me see. They're going to take the food away from me. They're going to take the sleep. They're going to beat me all day long. They're going to treat me like garbage. Well, hell, it feels like back in Romania, man. I'm good. This is me. Listen, I am, you can make this stuff up, man. But I went in, brother, and I got to be honest with you, with all that, with the caveat of having lived through some sort of similar environments back home, back in Europe. Brother, by the second day, I was in the RTL portion of it, in the captivity phase there. I swear to you, bro, whatever it is they are doing there to you, it truly felt like I was fucking back home, man. I was like, oh my God, dude, this is crazy, man.
All mental.
So I am telling you this to kind of like make the point that is one of those everybody tells you at the end, for one reason or the other, whether they are too afraid of especially the alpha type dudes, that mentality that you don't want to sound weak or something, or because they truly mean it. I don't know, because it's as personal as you and I sitting here. But everybody will tell you it's the greatest training ever going to go through in your life, but it's the one that you only want to do it once. So that's SERE, man. It takes everything that you believe in, all the standards that the society imposed and taught you up until this point, and the very concept of right and wrong, and flip it around, and it will put you in a situation that you will never think that by doing so you actually survive. But it's not about, SERE is about survival, man. And it's not about your survival. It's about the survival of the man next to you. And this is under the worst circumstances, So yeah. Are you still there?
Yeah. No, I'm just listening, man. I'm
I have a frozen screen here. I didn't know if you are there. No. So it actually hits home, and it hits home hard, and it's very hard. By the time you're done with SERE, with the training, you have no idea what the hell happened with you, man. Absolutely, you are totally like lost. But when you actually start realizing it's afterwards, when you Monday morning quarterback everything that happens, right?
Yeah.
And the point of SERE is, at the very end, at its core, it's not about do you get it, but do you get it when it matters. When the pressure is on, and you don't have your faculties about you, and you are being tortured, or whatever. You get my point here. So it's a very good training, man. And it was designed, by Nick Rowe. That guy went and was in Vietnam, was a SF guy, colonel. He became colonel later, but he survived the capture, and believe me, it was not easy. And then he realized that we never had anything even remotely close to a training that would duplicate those environments, so that will teach us how to survive.
Yeah.
SERE came about, and I'm telling you, brother, it's a hoot, man. It's a hell of a yeah.
Was you scared going into it, nervous?
No, I was very immature going into it, man. And that is the truth. That's the best word I can describe it, because I took it lightly. Like I said, I was like, what the hell are they gonna do to me, man? Come on, bro. I mean, it's fucking, it's a training event. You understand? It's not like they fucking kill you over there. Come on.
Yeah.
Brother, believe me. After I got out, I was like, oh my God, dude, this was nuts. And then another thing, man, we back then were just SF guys going through like Q course. So later on, the army developed and under the soft umbrella what became, you know, CA PSYOPs, and so now everybody that's part of SOCOM, you know, goes through it. You don't have to be a Green Beret if you're part of SOCOM in whatever capacity, right? CSF, whatever. Uh, um, the psychs are going through the course if they are attached to our units, you know, and so on and so forth. So, and the program, the POI, the program of extraction, became 3 times more intense than the ones I went through. And you know, people like, yeah, you protect the badge. No, I'm telling you reality, man, because I was an instructor there. You know, there are more captivities environments that are being taught now, you know, and they are more like trials by fire, you know, that you are exposed to, and more interviews. And it's not a joke. It's an overall better um, program that initially was designed just for the POWs, but the environments that we operate in worldwide now have changed. Yet the resistance it's to a certain extent is similar, and they give you the tools how to deal with that, man. And it's an extremely good course. But I was very mature going into, man. And we as alphas, brother, we are the worst test subject for that course, man.
I'm sure.
That is, if you are, you know, like, listen, I'm not sweating on live stream, but you understand what the proverbial shit bag, right?
Oh yeah, there's been around a bunch of them.
Yes. Now listen to me. If you are a shit bag, you have an easier way going through SERE than a leader does.
Really?
Or than brother, yes. And they know, and they will capitalize on that. The point is, man, we all have strengths and weaknesses. We humans, right? And to a certain extent, we always try to have an answer for our weaknesses if we are faced with them. You understand? In an argument or whatever, you know, you try to justify it either to yourself or to your counterpart or whatever. But we don't necessarily think of our strengths as a weakness. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
This is what SERE is about. This is what any exploitation is about. Turning the strength that you think is your strength and turn it against you in a weakness, and that is disarming because you have no answers to that. So yeah, it's a course that if you go through, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If not, just take it for granted, man.
Yeah. So
Good.
you were also a sniper, assaulter,
Yes, sir.
CIF cell leader, and a senior instructor for SERE, which we just went over.
Yes, sir.
You're also fluent in many different languages. Did you learn some of the languages when you went through selection and everything, or did you hone in on some of them languages, or did you already know a couple of them coming over to the States?
Oh, I knew all of them basically.
Wow.
Yes, I speak fluently Romanian, Italian, German. I'm still working on English to this day.
Now you're doing good, man. Doing real good.
But
Now what
yeah,
is
no,
it?
so yeah, go ahead.
No. Go ahead. Finish.
Back then, man, you know, was the war was blooming, you know, and the Q course was structured differently. I'm not here to debate that right, wrong, or indifferent. It was just a different structure of it that it is today, you know. And a foreign language, it's a requirement for a Green Beret, right? No matter what it is, you have to go to the training. You have to be proficient to a certain extent to become attached to an operational detachment, right? And then from there, you develop throughout your career. Well, back then, if you had a language, and the standard measurement for it was the DLPT test, right? The Army test, you know, for foreign languages. And when I went through, if you had a foreign language, no matter what that language was, and you test on it, good enough to be at a very at the passing, you know, threshold that the SF want you to be or above, then you didn't have to go through language See what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
So that's 8 months of training right there, man.
True.
And I went and I scored 3-3 on all of them,
Oh,
Romanian,
wow.
Italian, and as I was going through the course, I basically my course was 8 months shorter than everybody else's because of the language portion alone. See what I'm saying? So the guys that I started with, I graduated way before then. Because I didn't have to go to language, and that also having had all my European languages, that target me for 10th group, you know, it makes sense, and
Yeah,
they
it
didn't.
makes perfect sense.
I was like at the highest level that you have. So, but that again, full disclosure here, man. People, it's another thing, that's as an American you don't necessarily think about because you're born here, and English is your primary language.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that you, especially nowadays, man, with the computer era, just that's booming, the internet and everything. Every computer program in the world is English. It's ones and zeros, but it's the language and everything's in English. So it's no real need for you to know another language because you think the whole world, and to a certain extent, it's true. English is a universal language across the globe. If you speak English, you'll be all right everywhere you go. They have to learn English if they want to go into the computer business of doing a high, more advanced education. But for you, I mean, this is your home, man. Maybe you hear and you are exposed to Spanish because you live in the States in certain areas and stuff like that. But no, well, coming from Europe, where everything is crammed together. Think about it, man. You take your driver license, you have 50 states, and everybody speaks English. You
Yeah.
know, United
Crazy.
States is not it's a country, it's a continent. So in Europe it's different, right? It's to cross the border, you are in a different country. So it's more likely that people there speak 2 or 3 languages by de facto because you have to communicate. But when I went to the course, people were like, "Oh my God, man, you're so smart. You speak 3 languages." And I didn't, I argue with them, whatever, dude. Yeah, believe that. But it's common, man. In Europe, everybody does that. However, in this job helps and helps tremendously, man. Because we don't operate here. Whether we go to war or whether we go in our missions, we stateside is not what our playground, the world is. And
Yeah.
being well, and it's not about the language, man. This job is not about knowing that, although it helps, it helps to break the ice with your counterpart, when you
Yeah.
interact with, because you come from the States, man, in there, psychologically, man, you are at the highest level that anybody can ever be. And if you attempt to speak their language, they don't expect you to know it. They know that you don't know it. But if you show them that, it's an instant icebreaker, man. And then you meet common ground with them from there. The point of a foreign language is not knowing it, is the cultural aspect of it. I don't know if it makes sense to you. Our
Yeah.
values are theirs, man. But yet we are called to operate on their turf. And it's on us to understand it and make it work,
Mm-hmm.
and it's one that, and the medics, the 18 deltas, the doctors, our teams, those two are the biggest icebreaker that we have. It's not the weapons, it's not the training that we give them, is the humanity side of it, and that comes from cultural boundaries and being able to navigate between them, and find common ground,
Yeah.
yeah.
So what's a CIF cell leader, if you can talk about that?
Well, yes, it's so SIF it's a commander in extremist force. It's a part of the Green Berets, that are. So do you understand CAG Delta Force, right? Tier
Yes.
1. Okay, so that's our equivalent of them. You understand?
Yep.
It's a specialized school that you have to go through to get assigned to that company, and then you live your life on the people, man. You are a crisis response element. You do hostage rescue and you do some other things that we can talk about now. With For about a year and a half now, that portion, the SIF, has been dissipated. It was taken back to the national force. We don't have that anymore, that mission set anymore. But during the height of the war, that's what the SIF was. And it started back in the day during, the Bosnia Kosovo conflict, and Milosevic was brought in by our guys, by the SIF guys over in Germany. So that's what the SIF is. It was a commanded extremist force. You are 24 hours on a call, you're already packed, and within moments notice from the second that the call came in, you were towards the crisis point, and then you prosecute the target, whether with the help of partner nation or unilaterally. And during the Iraq, we don't own a soft, we don't own battle space. We play in the big army's battle space once the army took over. Whereas a national asset, you don't have that. You respond straight to the president, and then everything, you go after the tier one target. So that's what that was. That's what I did.
Okay, gotcha. I knew it was SIF. I was just spitting.
Yeah.
For the civilians listening,
Oh, absolutely. Yes. No, yeah. Why would they?
Yeah, they have no clue. So, switching gears a little bit, how many deployments did you actually go on?
Four main operational deployments, and then who the hell knows?
Yeah. Many, huh?
Yeah, well, we have JSETs, and then we have some other missions there now. So when I'm saying name operations like Operation Iraqi Freedom, the big operations, the main war operations, and everything else, man, it's for us. It's either training or, depending on the unit, then you have some other you don't. Yeah, a lot.
Yeah.
It keeps things interesting, man.
Cool. I'm sure it does. Now I want to put some pictures up, and there's a quote in one of these that you got to do something really cool, and my uncle was attached to these guys, my great uncle, which I have some stuff of his, and we talked about it offline, and I'm gonna show these and what these pictures mean to you.
Oh God, may he rest in peace. What you see right there is a living legend, and not the young guy. So what? Okay, I had always wanted to be part of the Normandy Jump, commemorating the D-Day invasion.
Mm-hmm.
And the stars never really line up for me. I was always somewhere doing something, But this is the only time that I was able to jump into Halo in with my guys in Normandy.
Mm-hmm.
I was in Germany at the time, on one of my assignments, and then the stars line up that I could be part of that. So anyway, it's a very humbling experience, man. Not the jump is that we jump, that's not the point, but to be there and to see with your eyes on the ground level what those guys have to go through and fight through and take the proverbial hill during the D-Day. When you see all the bunkers and the way that the German lines were set up, it's incredible, man. And as God is my witness, I'm telling you this now, just as I was telling to every one of my guys going through, when you're a Green Beret, when you're any kind of special ops guy, they think you are the baddest out there. Brother, we are nothing next to these men. They didn't have our technology, man. They didn't have the weapons nor the resources that we have today.
They didn't even have body armor.
Brother, dude, let me. So my job when I started in SF was 18 Bravo, right? That's weapons and tactics. You understand? That's also the guy on the team that trains the dudes, and then when you go in deployments, trains the indigenous. Yes, that's your tactics. That's what you do, right? That's your bread and butter.
Mm-hmm.
I went and I looked out on the Normandy beaches, man, the way that the German bunkers were designed. German engineering is next to none, bro. There is no those guys were geniuses even I'm a sniper, right? So the free floating concept of a sniper rifle, you know, when the bolt catches the bullet and feeds into the chamber. That is still unchanged in that era, you know, was a German rifle that used it. So anyway, when you looked at those beaches, it was a 30-foot cliff, you know, that they have to climb, those guys during the invasion, after they fought through the beach and all the mines and all the machine guns were on the final protective line. They were just mowing them down as they were coming through. You understand? Then they have to fight up the ladder. So when they come up over the crest of the hill, the way that the Germans designed their bunkers, I mean, it's almost impenetrable, man. But the slit, the cut where the nozzle of the MG3 machine gun was pointing out, if you look from the inside out, it's at the human waist level. You understand?
Wow.
And yet they still took the bunkers, man. It's insane how those people, I don't know. It's, you know, you read Shan Tzu, and it's true. It's a psychological thing that happens. And he said, when you put your people on the dead ground, the only way they have is forward, you know. But it's insane. So that Nudi, he died. He was one of the very few survivors, right, that were still present during the ceremony. And to be in his presence, it was the most. I don't know if the most, but I can honestly, I can't think of anything more humbling for me, man. That man right there and his generation made it possible for all of us to be here today.
I agree 100%.
You understand? And they don't build them like that. More different mentality, different type of men that went and fought over there, and the way they fought, it was very different than us nowadays. You know, when you have more standoffish, and you know, no, there was up close and in person, man. And then you go through all those towns because it's a parade event. It's a celebration of their liberation, basically, man. There you when you see the love those people have for us, and they don't know us, man, is the ideal of what America is brought to them. It's life-changing event, man. And you cannot put it. You can watch it on TV like a football game, but when you're on the stadium, it's a totally different experience. Multiply that by 1,000, and they have some kind of a grasp of what I felt when I was next to that. Amazing.
Yeah, that same guy that you're in the photo with, he is in a photo. I sent it to you if you remember.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Amazing generation, bro. Listen, if you are blessed to have someone in your family or to know somebody from that, consider yourself lucky, man, and cherish that those people walked on, because we're here because of that.
Yeah, and it's cool that he's in that picture because they have the memorial over in Pickaville, France, with the actual plane engine from when they got shot down, and he's standing at that memorial. And my great uncle was a part of them guys, and it was. I look at these letters that his brother gave me, and it's amazing, man. Different kind of men, for real.
Yeah, that's truly that. You know, you have teachers in life, and then you have mentors. That's for us, especially for me, because I was not born with this, man. Somebody, whether people even today know it or not, and most likely that if people know what we are doing, brother, that something went really bad.
Yeah.
But in this whole society of media hunger for everything, you know, we a lot of times, man, we have to ask ourselves, do I really want to compromise that man in my quest for honoring him? You understand? Because then you put him in a positions that his family or the man next to him get exposed to somebody who might not need to know, finds out about, and it's this whole process. But back then those men fought there for months, and they never had a chance to send anything home, man. No news. It was war, brother. And you're right. A different plot. That's the man that in our job you look up to and say, "Oh my God, man! When I grow up, one day I want to be like you." If I turn out to be half the man you are, this world will be a better place.
Agreed.
It's a supreme brave, man, and I'm humbled to and I thank God that I was able to actually see that with my own eyes.
Yeah, I'm envy of you. I wish I could have.
Yeah, it was like I said, it was one time. I never You know, because you always go and you always do stuff, man. But that's, yeah.
I'm gonna put
Amazing.
one more picture up, and if you want to talk about this guy.
Yeah, man, he, you know, so age aside, he was very, very sharp, you know. And we use superlatives here for a lot of stuff, but he was the heart and soul of this whole, you know, banquet that was going on there. And yet he one of the humblest men I have ever met, man. You know, he had tears in his eyes when he was genuinely say, I like, but I don't like all the attention. You know, we never done it for that. I'm not used to this, you know, but I like to see that. I'm paraphrasing now, you know, but his words were like, you know, I like to see younger generations seem following our, you know, footsteps, and the freedom is still there because of those guys that come after us. But we never did it for glory, you know. We never did it for. I'm not used to it. As a matter of fact, that was his last time that he went uh, uh, to the Normandy as a guest of honor, you know. And then a year or a year and a half later, he passed. May he rest in peace.
Mm.
But man, what a man. I mean, it's a lot of stuff about him, you know, and his peers. I mean, people can read at their own leisure. But I am telling you, when you reach that height of recognition, I guess, um, you know, the starship, like the superstar that never even touched him in the least. He was one of the most humbling guys, man. I met, man. Gave me goosebumps, man. I was like, holy shit, dude. You know, when you said the real deal, that was the real deal, right there.
Yeah.
Hands down. Nothing came close. What I've seen in my life, nothing came close to that. And he didn't even do it for himself, man. They fought somebody else's war, really.
Yeah.
And yet the results of that transcend time. What else can you say?
It's amazing. It's amazing. Amazing man. You know, and like you said, they don't make them like that anymore. They truly don't.
No, sir, it's a totally different world. It's a totally different mentality. And right or wrong, different, man. I don't care. You can. I'm not a politician, man, and I don't. You know, all I can hope for at the end of the day, brother, especially nowadays, is that no matter on what side of the argument you land on, in anything in life, doesn't have to be politics, anything, you land there by making your own research and not by following like sheep whatever narrative is out there.
Yeah.
Because I truly believe, man, in my heart of hearts, as long as you, the person who keeps the common sense compass in check, will always gonna have a realistic fighting chance in life. And then you're not gonna be surprised when life throws you the proverbial curveball, you know. Otherwise, it's gonna be very awakening, man. And that's, yeah.
Switching gears for a minute, I got to ask this because you see it on the internet, you see it on Facebook, you see it on the news, and I don't really watch the news because I wouldn't have a TV in my house. Like I tell everybody, I just can't watch it. You know, there's a whole hype of the females in the, you know, going through Ranger School, going through the SF community, now going through BUDS. You being a SF operator, how do you feel about that? And are these women actually getting on a team, or are they going to go do your paperwork, or are they actually operating? What are these, you know what I mean? And I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
No,
You know what I mean? It's just very confusing.
My done, I'm retiring anyway, but I am telling you now, and everything I say is my personal opinion.
Yeah.
Understand? And everything I taught in my life was based on what I've seen, what I went through, and what I can do. You know, I never ask anybody to do things I'm not capable of doing. That's how team life is, man. So it is how I look at it, man. And yes, you're right. You know, it's remember when I was telling you that the pendulum of common sense, you know, how society shifts and goes from one side all the way to the other, and it's physics, you know, it's very hard to stop in the middle because it swings, so on and so forth. So now we are in this time frame where this Me Too movement and everything gets pushed very hard and empower the a woman, and all that is great. Man. Listen, this is the operator in me talking. There are in our job. It's not just shooting, man. We do everything, you know, intel collection, everything, right? We're not gonna discuss specific, but you get the point.
Yeah.
There are so many areas where a female, a woman, is 10 times, if not more, better than a man at. So why I'm telling you this, there is a time and place for them to access those areas and be scarily successful, if I can use that term. Things that we cannot do by their sheer nature of being born a woman. They are smarter than us. It's easier to talk to them. It's easier to collect the intel, extract information, stuff like that. It's in a targeting side of the house and in so many other areas, man. And that means that they should be working with us. And when I'm saying us, I'm not talking about Green Berets. I'm talking about any kind of specialized units out there or branches of the government. There is the brains to the broad. You understand? We need that. Now, when it comes to the actually fighting on the battlefield, you know, I think the limits are pushed too far that over there, and people are saying it with right intentions, you know, because you try to empower them, not understanding the implications of that. And let's go back to SERE, for instance.
Okay.
There is something psychologically and physiologically that happens in the human body, men and females alike, when extreme level of pressure and stress are being applied upon. And a man and a female manifest those things differently. Now, I want you to read between the lines on what I'm telling you right now without me saying it out loud. As this is still is not an R-rated forum. Under combat environments, things happen to the human body that will make you become more a liability than an asset, especially if you are a female in those environments when the bullets are flying. And like, it has nothing to do with your ability to operate. It doesn't have anything to do with your strength, physical strength, or mental toughness. It has to do with all those physiologically body responses that you have no control over. The fight or flight, and all that. And under those circumstances, I will not have a woman fighting for her sake and for the sake of the man next to him, because the fighting is not over, brother, in like 2 minutes.
Hell no, it ain't.
Deployment, you have to be in the trenches for weeks, proverbial trenches. You understand what I'm telling you? And so, that aside, if you can find, and when I'm saying you, I'm saying the powers to be, if they can find, if they can leave the politics aside, and there is an oxymoron in and on itself, the world does not operate like that. The world is 99% politics and everything else, you know, trickles from there, you understand? But in an ideal scenario, if you can find the balance on the females in the military, on any kind of operational capacity, and it's the same concept like trying to hire the best guy for the job versus the right one. You understand? That is the difference in life between good and great.
Yeah,
Don't get fooled by a resume, man. Don't get that. We got fed into this mentality. The more bullet points you have on the resume, the better the person is. That's not how life works, man.
Yeah.
Other times, an intelligent person will look at it. A wise person looks at the right person for the job, not the best pedigree candidate they have.
Yeah.
So when you take that concept and apply it in real life, and you find that the niches where a female will be extremely, extremely proficient, let them flourish in them and open the career progression for them. Because I am telling you, it's like nothing else to have an asset like that next to you, man. And when it comes to actually the fighting, if it's like short incursion, I don't have issues with that. But extended periods of time with guys next to them, and the smell becomes crazy, and we hunters are zooming in on that, man. Um, I mean, I've seen in SERE. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy what a human body goes through, especially for a female when on those extreme level of pressure, and that's only 3 days, man. Now consider
Yeah.
months. So you have to find the balance. If we can do that, yes, then I'm totally for it. But if you try to push it all the way to the other side without understanding what it is you're talking about, then you create more of a problem than a solution. And yes, they are pushing them to be on the teams and stuff like that. I think that's politics more than common sense in there, man. Time will tell.
No, I'm
I don't. It
glad the
doesn't
way
make.
you
Yeah.
say again.
I said that I don't know if this makes sense or did answer the question that you had. That's how I see it, at
No,
least.
you answered it perfectly. Because me coming from combat arms, I got buddies that were, combat arms guys. And when we think of women coming into that, it's like, if they're on the line, and I mean, I've seen dudes that couldn't carry other dudes out of the kill zone. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? That's the part
Absolutely.
I'm thinking of,
Yeah.
and I'm not trying to bash women. I'm not, because there's a job for women in the military. I just don't think it's along combat arms side, because
No, me
it's all
neither.
alpha males. They're just, you know what I mean? You put all these guys together, and then what do you got? They're one a woman putting.
I know, man. And here's another thing that we don't touch upon, but it's extremely dangerous, man. You have all those sexual harassment cases coming up. You create an environment where those things sooner or later would happen, and then you destroy your own unit because of that. But this is not a calculus point in the politics of it all. All they want to see is a female face there, and that's all right with me. But understand where those limits are. If you leave it to the professional, to the guys doing the job, they will find the best way to use those assets, and they will be so much more proficient, and they feel better about themselves because they will be successful, man. Every time is to me is no difference than a kid who grows up in the proverbial shoes of his father. You understand? And you try your damnness to do that because your dad or your mom was whomever, but that's not who you are. You're never gonna find peace in life, man. Don't do that. Find the things that you are good at, and then the skies is the limits from there, man. Don't let
Yeah.
society dictate to you who you are. And
Yeah.
once you find the niche, brother, I am telling you, it's no matter how crazy things might seem from the outside, if you love it, it's gonna be easy for you, and you're gonna be successful, man or female alike.
Yeah. No,
The
you
common,
literally.
keep that in check, man, and you'll be okay. And listen to the people who do the job, because they are the ones that have to live with it, man.
Yeah.
If you don't, you see what happens from there.
No, you explained that 100%. Like I can think it that way, but I couldn't process it. And you literally answered it perfectly, how exactly how it needed to be answered, and I appreciate how you did go about answering it, because it shed some light, and I hope it does to people that think the way I think and think the way a lot of people think. Cause I just, I'm glad you answered it that way. But another thing, I started this, podcast helping guys, watching it, whether it helps them, I'm sure it does. I want to ask your opinion, if there's a veteran out there that's suffering from PTSD, suicide thoughts, what's some words of encouragement you would give to them to get out of that rut? Not everybody goes through that, but there's a lot of guys who do, and they're suffering
Yeah.
from it. I personally haven't went through it. I deal with PTSD, but I don't deal with the other issues. But if there's some words of encouragement you could give them, what would it be?
Oh my God, man, it's such a delicate subject, man, because it means differently from person to person. Here's what again, everything I'm telling you here, man, it comes from my point of view and from my life experiences. The man or female we are today, it's a sum of our past experiences. You understand? Right, wrong, or indifferent, brother, no matter what happened in your life, made us the people we are today. If you are not comfortable with that, then change it. Right? If you like it, then strive from there on out. But there is a question that only us can answer it to ourselves. Brother, listen to me, man. You can lie to the entire world. Cannot lie to yourself. You know who you are. You know what you feel inside. And by knowing that, inherently, you'll know what you need to do to fix it. If something is off in your life, for whatever fucking reason, man, life is not fair, man. Get over it.
Agreed.
You know, that's reality. But if something is off, if when you close your eyes at night, you don't feel whole, that means that something is missing there. Fix it. And there is nobody, there is not a psychiatrist or psychologist or friend in the world that can give you the answer to that. It has to start with you. Now, they can help you. They can aid you in that process, but you are the one that have to walk that walk. Remember, we only have one life, man. That is it. And if we were as humans, that's my deep belief in my heart of hearts, man. If we live this life for ourselves and not for a greater good or to impact the world in a better place, it's a life missed, who's missing the point. You understand? Whether you are a father, whether if you are blessed enough to have a family and kids, and if you ever need a reason in your life to move forward, look at them. We are only the things we leave behind, man. And it's people are being traumatized, especially in this job, you know, and especially in an environment where you grow up with conflict resolution, affirmative action, when people are going out there and they end up being 10th in a competition and they are getting a trophy from the society. Think about what message you send those kids, man. Eventually, life will step in and they will give them their proverbial slap, you know, and then they have no tools to deal with that, and they go suicidal. You know, they go from one extreme to the other. It's sad, but that is the reality, man. So don't give up on yourself, and don't give up on the, because once you know, people are so when it becomes overwhelming, you are not seeing the big picture anymore, you know. So seek help, whatever that means. Read a book, right? I don't know, man. Smoke a joint, right? Find a friend. Look at your child. I don't go fishing. Whatever you need to do to decompress, to get over that point, that hump, right? But understand that at the end of the day, if we want to change, it has to come from within first. And once you realize that, you know, the whole other horizon, because you're going to see out in, and you're going to see the good in things that makes you and makes it worth fighting and moving forward, man. You don't self-destructing doesn't help anybody, and especially those who love you the most, and that has to be left behind, you know. That's how I look at it, man. I cannot, something that is traumatized to other might not be a joke for me, right? And the other way around. So it's very hard to relate, you know, truly to the other person, because we don't see things through the same prism, through the same eyes, you know. But no matter what, if something is off, right? And once you know, your life takes a turn from the worst, for the worst, right? Once you identify what that is, you know, you have to find it within yourself to push forward. And then that's a lot of help out there, but that is not the answer. They cannot walk. You are the ones that have to walk the walk. So it comes from within, man. God gave us a life. And there are people that don't believe in God, and that's fine. You know, I know, listen, everybody's different. Find the reason to see tomorrow.
I agree, man. That was well put.
Life is gonna have a whole other time, man. That's how I see it, at least, man. You know.
No, I appreciate you sharing that, man. And I got some buddies dealing with it, and I talk to them all the time. I say it on every podcast. I call them, tell them I love them, whatever.
Yeah.
Just to make them feel better. That
There
might
you
be
go.
that.
That simply that might help, man. And look, again, we put so much credit on celebrities now, man, because of this whole media and stuff, and we crucify them with it. Understand this: we are humans. I don't give a shit who you are, which means we are inherently wrong, man. We are not perfect. Right and wrong is within us. Do not. This is my advice, now looking back at my life, man. Do not be too quick to judge somebody else because you don't want to be judged too quick. You understand? When people do bad things, some are doing because they are genuinely like bad people, but some are doing because it's part of like shit happens in life, man. It's not about not falling, because sooner or later we all will. It's how quickly can you get up again. You understand?
Agreed.
And the strength comes from building something, not from destroying stuff.
Yeah.
Find that reason, and sky's the limit from there.
No, you put that really good, man. And I appreciate it. I got some questions I want to ask you. What do you feel like is your biggest accomplishment to date?
Well, first, my family, man. I have, so my wife, she's Romanian too. This is my second marriage, but my kids, I don't know. Again, this is personal to me. I came from a different world, man. And once I got to the States and I understand what freedom is, this is not a catchphrase, man. This is my feelings. I always said that I pray God to give me the chance. If I fell off everything else in this life, man, but to give me the chance to have my kids born and raised in a better place than one that I came from. And I was blessed enough to have 3 beautiful children, man. And I'm telling you, only a father can understand this. But once you get them, things change in your life. That's what I'm saying. It's about passing on. So that's I always will always. I was lucky enough to still be alive to get to this point. Knowing stuff they went through. But so next to that, this job that I have, it wasn't a job. It was a roller coaster. It was a dream for me. I was I was blessed in this 20 years. So I did this to work with some of the best this country has to offer. Unknown people, unseen by the world. People that I didn't even knew they existed. From all branches of the government, under the most austere environments out there. Believe you me when I tell you that it's a lot of hope, even if we don't see it. The fact that tomorrow comes and we are waking up, providence aside, because we cannot add a second longer that is given to any of us. Part of that is because these men and women are out there doing the deeds for us.
Yeah. Man, I can hear the passion in your voice, man, of what it means to you to come here in America and where you came from. And I truly respect that, man.
Well, I'm like I said, man, I'm blessed to, first of all, have been able to get out of there, and then this was my way of but it's part of the character, we are all cut for certain things in life, and if you are lucky enough to find that, you don't have a job, you have a career, you have a dream.
Agreed.
So now that if I retire, I still don't know what the hell I'm going to do when I grow up, man.
Yeah. My next question is favorite concealed carry weapon, and what platform do you use?
Oh man, so yeah, now I'm Again, this is my bread and butter. I'm sure I was a teacher, a trainer, and all this. And I always tell people, when they ask me what is the best weapon out there, what's the best pistol, what's the best rifle, and I always come from a tactical and operational standpoint on this and everything. Brother, the best platform is the one that you are using when it matters. In my job, man, I don't teach people how to shoot. There are plenty of courses out there, for you to do that. No, my job is to teach you how to fight with the gun. And it's a totally different concept, and it's totally different than the the shooting shows and everything out there. The way that you operate, you will be dead on a battlefield if you do that. Running and yourself and stuff like that. Yet they are a lot better shots than we are. This is honesty. This is me putting my heart on that. Those competition shooters, the way they shoot, the rate of speed and the accuracy that they have by doing that, it's in stratosphere next to an actual operator who carries like 60 pounds of shit on him and is sweating, and by the time he gets to the target, is done. You have to be able to find a happy medium in between. So what I personally carry, I carry a CZP 10C. It's a very similar platform with the Glock.
Mm-hmm.
I have a treasure con sight on it. My eyes are not what it used to be anymore. I'm sorry to say this, but that's not the point. The point is that for me, as a when you're a shooter, everything that you do is through some kind of an optic. Whether it's on the glass that you have on a long rifle or on your M4. So you train yourself instinctively. When you put that gun up to look through that, and see the entire picture versus looking to the straw, right? Well, once you put an optic on your pistol, and I was an avid advocate against it growing up, because for my secondary, you only pull it if you're in deep shit in real life,
Yeah.
But I always use the iron sights, and yet I grown into having a treasure consight and a lot of sights out there that makes the target acquisition a lot faster, and your eyes doesn't have to adjust when you do a transition, right, from your optics on the gun to the iron sights on the pistol. So that's what I carry personally. I like the 1911s, man. I like the Kimber platform. I like pretty much everything. But what I carry and what I fight with are the weapons that instinctively, no matter what happens out there, without thinking, I can react. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
That is the best way. Whether there is a knife or a fork or your teeth or your hands, or if you don't have to think about it, if you master it, quote unquote, master it to the point where it becomes second nature for you, that is your best fucking weapon, man. And again, it's individual as you and I, different body types, different arm reaches, different arm length, different, structure. Everybody gets accustomed to something. But ultimately, if you close your eyes and you think, what gun would I carry in a battle with? That's your weapon, man. Because that's you are most intimately accustomed to, It's no different, and I'm going to leave you with this. I speak 4 languages. I have people that speak multiple languages. And people are asking, well, what's your primary language? Right? All of them are the same. Here is the question. What language do you pray in? That's your language.
Yeah.
Take that concept to the weapon side, and then you have your answer. Does it make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, it makes total sense.
Yeah, so it's easy for me. I like
No, it's awesome, man. Next one I got is what goals do you got now in life since you're transitioning out of the military? What you got you gonna do some travels, or you gonna sightsee around America, or are you going overseas to travel? What you got going on, man?
That's a good question. Well, first, I think I want to take some time with the family, and I would like to see America, man. I've been in a lot of places. I've seen most of the world more so than I did the States.
Yeah.
I have a Harley, just I'm the typical, a divorce and a Harley, and then you're welcome being a Green Beret type. But I always wanted to do ride the Route 66, you know,
Oh
coming
yeah.
from, and I mapped it all out, man. And there are just patches now left. But what I wanted to do, I wanted to extend. I want to go from Santa Monica all the way to New York and then come back to Colorado. So I would like to do some travel. And after that, man, I would like to find something that will, for me, still keep me relevant to a certain degree. If you understand, and to me, that is, I don't know if I can find like a teaching, coaching, mentoring, like positions to where whatever knowledge I have, to whatever extent I can pass it on, I'll be happy.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm still pretty, like I'm 46 years old right now, man, going on 100.
Yeah.
Like, I my body's telling me a lot of things. My heart is said like, do keep going, push hard, push on. My body, what the hell are you doing, bro? Like, so I have to find that the happy balance. But for me, what would be rewarding, I may want to open something, my own stuff, my own thing, or a job, or consulting, or something that I can bring the realism and the wisdom of having done this for so long to that, and pass it on to others, so they don't have to, the mistakes that you will otherwise do. They can be avoided. The knowledge passed on. That's what I like.
Yeah, man. Well, if you're ever coming through North Carolina, you gotta stop by and say hey to me, man.
My man, absolutely. Do I have a house there in Rayford?
Really?
Yes, sir.
Well, it's not that far, man. You come on down.
We got digits now, buddy. We'll be in touch. No worry.
Oh, absolutely, man. Have a beer together, shoot some guns, have fun, man.
Oh yeah, my man.
Well, Claude, man, I appreciate you coming on. I know you got your family waiting on you. I can't thank you enough for coming on. You got an amazing story. You're an amazing dude. Man, we talked on the phone how long for, what 35, 40 minutes the other day. And,
Yes,
I was blown away, man. And I'm thank you for sharing and open up. And, I know there's some hard topics to answer, and you answered them real well professionally. And I can't thank you enough for that, man.
yeah. Well, hey man, listen, thank you for having me, but most importantly, man, thank you for what you're doing for those guys.
I appreciate it, brother. That's what it's about.
I tell you, out of all this noise, no substance, media cycle that is out there, we need people like you to bring back some of the realism of life into perspective, and help those who otherwise have nowhere else to turn. So thank you for that, man.
Man, that means the world.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
That means the world to me.
Yeah. So my wife is just opened the car right now. You are live.
All
right, man. Thanks again. And again, we have digits. Reach anytime, and then we'll talk. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you again. Thank you so much.
Please be safe.
All right, brother. You too.
You too, my man.
All right.
Bye.